Being the president involves a great deal of travel, both within the United States and around the world. And because America's president serves not only as our nation's head of state, but also as commander-in-chief, he has many special travel needs. Has the president ever visited your community? If so, he arrived with the help of several members of the armed forces who, under the direction of the White House Military Office, helped to make the journey a safe one. Check out how the U.S. president travels. Number 8. Transportation of the President of the United States. The United States government has maintained a variety of vehicles for the president. Because of the president's role as commander-in-chief, military transports are exclusively used for international travel. However, the civilian Secret Service operates the president's motorcade. Number 7. Aircraft. Since 1953, whenever the president is on board a military flight, its call sign is the name of the armed service followed by the word 1. Thus, Air Force One, Army One, Coast Guard One, Marine One, Navy One, and Space Force One. However, only the Air Force and Marine Corps actively maintain aircraft for the Commander-in-Chief. And as of January 13, 2021, the President has never flown in either a Coast Guard or Space Force aircraft or spacecraft. If the President uses a civilian airplane, it is designated Executive One. Number 6. Automobiles. The presidential state car is a limousine called Cadillac One, or the Beast, which is operated by the Secret Service. There are at least 10 limousines. There is also a bus, unofficially called Ground Force One, officially called Stagecoach, while the president is aboard, which is operated by the Secret Service. Number 5. Carriages. 4 presidential carriages were built by the H&C Studebaker Blacksmith Shop, the predecessor of the Studebaker Corporation. One of these carried Lincoln to the Ford's Theater the night of his assassination. All 4 carriages are on permanent display at the Studebaker National Museum located in South Bend, Indiana. The carriages were used by Presidents Ulysses S. Grant, Benjamin Harrison, Abraham Lincoln, and William McKinley. Number 4. Presidential rail cars. A number of presidents have traveled by rail. President Abraham Lincoln signed the Pacific Railroad Act in 1862, providing the initial funding for what would become the first transcontinental railroad, linking America from coast to coast in 1869. At the time, a private railroad car was the equivalent of a private jet today, with the first executive coach built exclusively for the president, a deep maroon painted car named the United States, completed during Lincoln's term. Wary of the optics such opulence signaled in the aftermath of the Civil War, Lincoln never got the opportunity to enjoy the deluxe accommodations while alive. However, it would take Lincoln on his final journey, a slow, circuitous trip from Washington, D.C. to Springfield, Illinois, with his son Willie in a funeral train, retracing the route of his inaugural journey in 1861. Late 19th and early 20th century presidents would use trains to campaign and travel across the country, much as presidents use Air Force One today, conducting whistle-stop tours to personally reach voters across the country. President Franklin D. Roosevelt made extensive use of the railroad in his campaign in 1933 and traveled across the country during World War II aboard U.S. Car No. 1, a train composed of the Ferdinand Magellan executive car, a converted hospital car with high-tech radio gear installed for communications, a baggage car to carry the Sunshine Special and other special vehicles, and other cars to accommodate press and the Secret Service. The Ferdinand Magellan was a Pullman Company business car pulled from charter service, armored plated, and rebuilt into living quarters and office for FDR in 1941. It is currently on static display at the Gold Coast Railroad Museum in Miami-Dade County, Florida. The Ferdinand Magellan was last used by President Ronald Reagan, who used the coach during his re-election campaign in 1984. The Georgia 300 is a privately owned rail car that has been used by several presidents during whistle-stop campaign tours. Georgia 300 has hosted Presidents George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama. George H.W. Bush was the first president to travel by train as part of his funeral arrangements in almost 50 years, traveling aboard Union Pacific 4141 and EMD SD-70, which had been painted in Air Force One livery and named in his honor in 2005. The last president to have a funeral train was Dwight D. Eisenhower, who made his final journey from Washington, D.C. to his hometown in Abilene, Kansas, where he was laid to rest in 1969. Current President Joe Biden frequently made use of commercial Amtrak service to commute between Washington, D.C. and his home in Delaware during his time as senator, and briefly campaigned via train in Ohio and Pennsylvania. However, it is yet to be seen if he will be able to continue the tradition of presidential rail cars during his term. Number 3. Yachts. From 1880 to 1977, several commissioned Navy ships served as presidential yachts. However, this practice was halted during the Carter administration. The table below lists the name of each of these ships and the years in which it did so. USS Dispatch, USS Dolphin PG-24. The Dolphin, Sylph, and Mayflower shared duty as the presidential yacht from 1897 to 1929. USS Sylph PY-5, USS Mayflower PY-1, USS Sequoia AG-23. The Sequoia served 2 terms as presidential yacht, 1933 to 1936 and 1969 to 1977. USS Potomac AG-25, USS Williamsburg AGC 369. Number 2. The Flying White House, Air Force One. The name Air Force One does not belong to any specific aircraft, but instead is the radio call sign used when the president is aboard any United States Air Force plane. Currently, the Air Force provides 2 Boeing 747-200Bs for presidential use, both adapted to meet the president's unique needs and to make him as safe and comfortable as possible during flight. So that the president can fulfill his duties as commander-in-chief, the airplanes have state-of-the-art communications equipment on board, including secure voice terminals and cryptographic equipment for writing and deciphering classified messages. More than 238 miles of electrical wiring, 1,260,000 feet, wind through each craft, more than twice the wiring found on an ordinary 747. The 4,000 square feet of floor space inside Air Force One provide room for a presidential stateroom, an executive dressing room and shower, a conference dining room, 2 fully equipped kitchens, a presidential office, a medical treatment room, secretarial offices, 6 laboratories, and 84 telephones. The first presidential airplane was used by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, nicknamed the Flying Hotel. It was a Boeing 314 Clipper, the largest aircraft of its time, boasting a wingspan of 152 feet. The first presidential jet aircraft, a Boeing 707, was presented to the Smithsonian Institution after its retirement in 1972. Our 2 most recent presidents have flown on Boeing 747s. In September 1957, Dwight D. Eisenhower began presidential helicopter travel when he flew from his vacation home in Newport, Rhode Island to Naval Air Station Quonset Point. Today, the United States Marine Corps provides helicopter transportation for the president and the vice president, as well as for cabinet members and foreign dignitaries. Marine Helicopter Squadron 1, HMX-1, also serves the president during overseas visits and has operated in more than 32 foreign countries. Presidential helicopters have landed at such distant places as England's Windsor Castle, Akasaka Palace in Tokyo, Bolivar Square in Bogota, Colombia, and the demilitarized zone of South Korea. Like Air Force One, Marine One is a radio call sign used when the president is aboard a Marine Corps helicopter. The helicopter used most often is a Sikorsky VH-3D, a special helicopter designed for presidential flights. With a cruise speed of 110 knots, 131 miles per hour, and a range of 450 nautical miles, it is a versatile and reliable means of transportation for the Commander-in-Chief. Before every departure, Marine One is carefully checked, and the presidential seal is placed on the side of the aircraft. Number 1. The Beast. Being defined as American got us thinking about something that is definitely American. The Beast. The presidential limousine that ferries the U.S. president and travels with him around the world. It is a Cadillac. Sort of. The Beast has very little in common with the production model Cadillac One down to the engine and chassis, which are based on GM's heavy-duty commercial vehicles. A report on Left Lane News states, components like head and tail lamps, front grille keep it looking like a Caddy, but underneath it is completely different. The car has its own aircraft. The Secret Service uses C-17 Globemaster aircraft to transport the Beast, another limo, and a heavily armored Chevrolet Suburban communications vehicle anytime the POTUS travels. The Suburban communications vehicle is called the Roadrunner, which is said to house a communications office linked to a military satellite. Of course, it is armored. But to what extent? The Left Lane News writes that the Beast has 8-inch armor plating and 5-inch thick bulletproof windows and Kevlar reinforcement for the giant Goodyear tires that are also run flat. The cabin is sealed for the outside world for protection against a chemical attack, and special foam surrounds the fuel tank in case of an impact. It is very well equipped. If your car has a fridge and you feel accomplished, step aside. The Beast boot has firefighting equipment, oxygen tank, a cache of the president's blood type, tear gas canisters, shotguns, and apparently grenade launchers as well. The driver is better than Jason Statham in The Transporter. You don't just land a job driving the U.S. president. You must first make it to the Secret Service. The Beast does look like it'll handle like a school bus and not a sports car, but these drivers are trained to execute J-turns and other police-style evasion maneuvers. Do let us know in the comments what vehicle you use for your travel. Please subscribe to The Luxury World. Thanks for watching.